What are you doing, Eddie?
Drop the ball. Whee! Hold the ball. Where'd it go? Okay.
Yellow. There's when a good storm in it. I was named. Try to pick balls in the storm and win it out. Back to the game! Back to the game!
In last week's vlog, I compared the two generations of the Kindle Oasis. And in that vlog, I mentioned how I wanted to read more. In 2017, I had a goal of reading one book every month, but I never really kept track of that. I have the same goal for 2018, reading a book a month, but in order to help me track my progress, I decided to finally sign up for an account on Goodreads, and you can follow me there at goodreads.com/Michael Kwan. While I like reading on my Kindle, there's definitely something special about picking up a physical book and reading it. To my recollection, most, if not all of the books that I'm about to list were gifts from Joseph Planta of thecommentary.ca. I will provide links to all of the books I'm reading in the video description below if you want to check them out too. So let's get started. So the first book, which I actually just finished reading last night, is Some Young Guys by Edwin Lee. And it talks about Edwin's experience growing up in Vancouver's Chinatown in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. I actually have a lot in common with Edwin in that we're both second generation Chinese Canadians, except we're separated by like 50 years. So in the book, he talks about clashing cultures and everlasting friendships that he's developed. And it's a really interesting look into how much Vancouver and how much Chinatown has changed since the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So the second book is The Life and Times of the Thunderbolt Kid by Bill Bryson. And like Edwin's book, it's also a memoir, but it talks more about his all-American childhood and has more of a humorous take to it, as well as his experience with a really rich fantasy life as a child with kind of a superhero spin to it. In An Imperfect Offering, James Rabinski talks about his year-long journey going to Rwanda researching pediatric AIDS. And he was actually one of the founding members of the Canadian chapter of Doctors Without Borders. So this is much more of a heartfelt humanitarian kind of story. I've said that one of the best things that a writer can do is read more, especially read more about writing. And to that end, one of the books on my reading list is Startle and Illuminate by Carol Shields. And it's kind of a guide to the writing process, offering insights into her unique writing style. She answers a lot of questions that writers have about writing. Things like, why do we write at all? Can writing be taught? And what keeps a reader turning the pages? And I hope that by going through this book, my writing can improve too. One of the more profound concepts of modern society is this idea that we are all alone together. We are the most connected generation ever, but we also feel incredibly isolated from one another. And a book that kind of touches on that kind of discussion is Solitude by Michael Harris. And in it, he talks about trying to find a place of stillness or our private space in an atmosphere that really encourages as much sharing as we do now, trying to escape this obsessive compulsion with social media. I think all of us can learn how to disconnect now and then. And finally, we have The Book of Joy with His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. In it, they talk about joy and how the two of them have gone through a lot of hardships. I think we can all understand that, but somehow they are also two of the most joyous people that you'll ever meet on the planet. So the book talks about them meeting. It was like a week-long meeting somewhere where they spent a lot of time together discussing the concept of joy. Things like, how do we find joy among so much suffering? and understanding the nature of true joy, obstacles to joy, daily joy practices, and the pillars of joy. I think that people like Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama have a lot to teach us about how we can just be happier people. So what are you reading this year? Leave a comment below with what you have on your reading list, and make sure you follow me on Goodreads at goodreads.com/Michael Kwan to keep me accountable for my reading challenge, and I'm always open to suggestions for more books to read as well. So until next time, I'm Michael Kwan. Thanks so much for watching.